Call this council meeting to order. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the added items? Moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Gallo. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, Mr. Clerk, sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the approval of the agenda item. Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys is not on yet. Mayor Maracas,
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson is not on yet, and Councillor Gallo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Community presentations. We have one. Julie Stevenson, our youth programmer, regarding the John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award. Mr. Clerk. And Julie, welcome.
I believe Julie is on, and we'll just ask Julie to share her screen if there's a presentation, and
Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Just keep this going. Okay. Everyone see the presentation okay? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Stevenson. I am the youth programmer with the town of Aurora. The John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award honors the achievements of senior students from the town of Aurora who are moving on to post-secondary education. Each year, up to 2 scholarships are presented to the students who are entering their first year as full-time students at college, university, or the equivalent. Although the winners are not able to be here this evening, I'm honored to be able to present the 2020 winners to council. This year's first winner is Kiana Mershahi. Kiana recently graduated from Aurora High School, finishing her secondary requirements early in February of this year. She will be attending McMaster University in the fall to begin her studies in the Integrated Business and Humanities program. Throughout high school, Kiana consistently took part in or led opportunities that focused on youth mental and emotional well-being. Her work and passion have led to numerous volunteer opportunities for others and have provided a clear path for improving life for those in the Aurora community. Kiana's contributions have made a distinct and positive impact throughout the Aurora community, culminating in over 1,000 community service hours. Some of her impressive contributions include partnering with her school's administration and York Region Public Health on the Be Well to Do Well campaign, helping to lead her school's equity club, and taking on a junior student leader role with her place of worship in the Ismaili Muslim community. Kiana is a 3-year member of the Aurora's Youth Engagement Committee. She has also been part of the Phoenix Leadership Conference in multiple roles and the Central Ontario Leadership Conference. More recently, Kiana has partnered with other youth to launch Talkify, a free peer support tool for teens to address well-being during the current pandemic. When asked about receiving the scholarship award, Kiana said, "I am beyond honored and thankful to be chosen as a recipient for this prestigious award. Although I do not need recognition and enjoy helping others from the bottom of my heart, it is very heartfelt to know that my community work does not go unnoticed." It was clearly demonstrated in her application and by those who know her that Kiana has a passion for helping others. Kiana is someone who has used her own personal obstacles and experiences to act as a proud mental health advocate, and they have propelled her to pay it forward. Kiana's dedication to giving back and positively impacting others in our community and her extensive contributions have made Aurora a better place for residents to enjoy. This year's second winner is Amanda Bishop. Amanda recently graduated from Aurora High School and will be attending McMaster University in the fall, taking part in the engineering program. Amanda has become a positive presence in our community through her continued activism in making STEM accessible for all and advocating for strong representation from girls and women in this field. After working with her sister to create Why Code Aurora, a one-night panel of women in technology, Amanda developed a series of free coding camps and programs for girls. More recently, Amanda founded the first Robotics Canada FTC team, known as the Aurabots at Aurora High School. The group advocates for all students to gain real-life experience in engineering and programming, design, and business. Amanda had a personal goal of accessibility for the team, which she accomplished by securing external sponsorship, raising almost $50,000 over 2 years. This generous endeavor allowed other students to join the robotics team without any membership or equipment fees. Amanda has been involved in and led various school and community organizations, including her role as Music Council President, mentor of Empowering Student Partnership, a contributor to the Aurora High School Yearbook, and Student Voice Representative. Amanda has also created 2 fundraisers that directly impacted the Aurora community, a Tulips for Autism drive for Carey's Place Autism Services, and a toiletries drive that provided much needed supplies to students in her school. Amanda has served as a judge at the Aurora Youth Innovation Fair for 2 years, providing youth representation at a community-based event. When asked about receiving the scholarship, Amanda said, "It is an honor to receive the John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award. I love Aurora and giving back to my community, so it really means a lot to be recognized in this way." Amanda's contributions to the community have created a positive legacy for other youth to carry on. Her hard work and passion for accessibility in STEM has created an environment where students are encouraged to engage and to assist others. Amanda's many contributions clearly demonstrate her desire to give back to her community and to create a positive experience in Aurora for all residents. Kiana and Amanda, the town of Aurora is honored to present you with the 2020 John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Council, any comments? Councilor Humphries?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to congratulate the 2 students receiving this prestigious award. And thank you to Ms. Stevenson for the wonderful background on both these powerful young leaders of our future. Look at what they've done so far in high school. I can't even imagine what the future holds for them. So I want to just congratulate them again. And thank you so much for presenting this tonight. It's a great way to start our evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gilliland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I just wanted to also congratulate both these fine young ladies, and congratulations and good luck in your endeavors at McMaster University. We're very proud to have 2 upstanding citizens in our community give back the way you have, and I'm sure you'll do well in your next chapter in life.
Councilor Kim.
Thank you, and thank you, Julie, for your hard work in this each and every year. And I just want to also thank Kiana and Amanda. Well, congratulate them. And you know, it's so, you know, you feel so proud, even though you don't know these individuals. You know how hard they work through you know, the vast accomplishments that was read out, and you're excited to hear you know, what's going to come out of their lives when you read about them in the paper in the future. And so I just want to thank them, and you know, congrats to their family.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, Council? Councilor Gallo.
Thank you, and not to belabor the point, but congratulations to the 2. I often tell my son, I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm leaving the world to you to manage, but here's a clear example of 2 fantastic girls that that are going to do a fantastic job. So we have some hope.
Councilor Gardner. Councilor, you're on mute.
It's a pleasure to have such good news, and in this time when we have a lot of bad news, and as Councillor Gallo said, looks like our future world is going to be in good hands. Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilor Thompson, did you want to add anything? No?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just came in halfway through the presentation, but certainly it sounds like 2 well-deserving individuals, and I would agree, certainly proud of hearing their accomplishments. So well done to both of them.
Thank you. And I'm not going to go over what everyone has said, but I've met both of these young women, and they've done some extraordinary work in our community, and I know that they're going to make Aurora extremely proud as they move forward in their future. So congratulations to both of them, and thank you, Julie, for coming here and presenting this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Council, can I get a motion to receive? Moved by Councillor Humphries, seconded by Councillor Kim. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for receiving the presentation. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Gartner,
Yes.
Mayor Maracus,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
and Councillor Humphries.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll move to delegations. We have two. First up is Tristan Kuhlman from PFLAG Canada York Region regarding my motion for Rainbow Crosswalk. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Tristan's ready, so we'll turn it over to him.
All right. Oh, Tristan, there you are. Didn't see you pop onto the screen. So welcome. You have 5 minutes and floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Marascus, council members and members of the public. My name is Tristan Kuhlman. I use pronouns he, him, and I'm the president of PFLAG York Region. I would like to thank council for allowing me to speak today on a motion of installing a rainbow crosswalk at the intersection of Yonge and Wellington. I'm here acting as the PFLAG representative for this delegation. PFLAG York Region is an LGBTQ2 support, education, and resource network, offering support meetings for LGBTQ2 people, their families, and friends. We also provide LGBT 101 training and other educational seminars to the public and private organizations. Rainbow crosswalks have become a very popular installation in cities worldwide over the last few years, which include the colors of the pride flag. It's a symbol that has grown to represent millions of individuals worldwide who identify within the LGBTQ2 community. Its beginnings, however, very much are reflected in grassroots movements with strong ties to civic politics. The history of these colors and their arrangement and with their adoption by the community was first popularized in 1978 and was heavily used in the protests that followed after the assassination of city councilor and one of the leaders of the LGBTQ2 movement, Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk was the first openly gay local politician in the United States and was widely popular amongst the residents of every borough in San Francisco. His assassination, the charges laid thereafter against his killer, saddened and angered the community. And during the protests, the community worked at being the first to use the pride flag that we know today. It would make an appearance over the years, but wouldn't officially be adopted until the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall riots in 1994. Artist Gilbert Baker was commissioned to create a piece of art to be showcased at that year's Pride, and his team created a 1-mile-long rainbow flag that was carried through the streets of New York City. Since then, the pride flag and its colors have been used in a number of ways, but always in reference to or in solidarity with the LGBTQ2 community. We see it here in our town. Businesses that are affirming and welcoming of LGBTQ2 people post small pride stickers and other symbols to show their support. These signs of visibility are important for the LGBTQ2 community. For LGBTQ2 people, their lived experiences often involve repressing their true authentic self out of fear of being disowned, fear of being attacked, amongst other concerns. Aurora isn't unique to these challenges, as every hamlet, town, and city worldwide face similar obstacles. We unfortunately still live in a world and a community that is not always affirming or respectful of these lived experiences. A recent study released by CAMH on LGBTQ2 homelessness in New York Region specifically spoke to some of these challenges. A rainbow crosswalk serves as a visible sign of support from our elected officials for the LGBTQ2 people. It's a sign to anyone who feels different to, quite frankly, educate themselves. As many of us have learned over the last few weeks, social literacy is a skill that many of us are lacking. In a way, it's a new currency for how we measure our engagement with others. Agencies like PFLAG York Region can support those journeys, and this rainbow crosswalk may be the start of that for many residents. The statistics make it clear. When LGBTQ2 people see visible signs of support, whether it be in their household, amongst their chosen family, are from institutions and elected officials like yourselves, their quality of life can improve. Their access to opportunities and to success greatly improves as well. And for some, this may be another crosswalk, and others may question whether it's smart to invest tax dollars in this. But take it from someone who leads an LGBT organization, who has heard stories from LGBTQ2 folks, their friends and family from across the region. Take it from someone himself who identifies within the community. This rainbow crosswalk could be life-saving. It has the potential to inject a dose of hope, validation, and optimism into anyone who crosses over it. And when it does that, even just for one person, it's completely worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Council, first can I get a motion to receive the delegation and refer to the motion? Councillor Humphries, second. Councillor Thompson, any comments or questions for the delegate? Councillor Humphries?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Coleman, for joining us this evening. Love what you had to say this evening. It means a lot to me personally, and just in terms of acceptance and pure joy and love. And I'm really excited about what we're doing in Aurora. And you're right, I really love what you touched on with what your committee does, or your organization, in terms of education, helping people understand. I think I'm still surprised we need to do that today, but if that's what it takes to make people, just be kind to one another and respect differences and just have some joy and fun out of the differences, everything will be so much better. So thank you for the work you're doing. Means a lot to me, like I mentioned personally, from my family and friends, and I'm excited about tonight's discussion. So thank you very much for your delegation and your support of the crosswalk.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. Tristan, thank you very much for coming. Obviously, a very important issue, and for the support for the crosswalk. And hopefully, we'll see you out there when the crosswalk is hopefully up and out painted. So, look forward to it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Actually, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the first delegation receiving and referring to the motion. Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gartner?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Mayor Marakis?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have Jim Sikovic, resident, regarding my motion in regards to the rainbow crosswalk at Yonge and Wellington as well. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Just to let you know, you have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
I'm starting the timer. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me on the agenda with an opportunity to speak tonight. I have 3 areas of concern and question regarding the crosswalk proposal. First, safety. Based on the description in the Aurora, I believe this will be a significant visual distraction at an already busy intersection. Indeed, this is the stated intent, to have a large visual presence. We already have red light cameras at this intersection to promote safety. Isn't it possible drivers will be even more likely to misread a light due to being distracted looking down at the road instead of at light signals? This proposal, as described, plastic strips laid into or on the roadway, will undoubtedly be slippery for pedestrians and most vehicles. I myself drive a motorcycle, and I'm concerned about driving over plastic strips in the road, particularly in damp conditions. While others say this might be life-saving for the community, this may also be deadly to a motorcyclist. It might also be more difficult to see pedestrians in the street, given the distraction and background of all these colors as opposed to the standard gray pavement or white crosswalk markings that reflect at night. My second concern is around cost. The estimated cost in the newspaper was stated at $12,000 plus. This seems excessive considering that these are pre-formed thermoplastic pavement markings affixed to the pavement. If they are to be embedded in the pavement, this implies significant traffic disruption to install, plus damage to the underlying road structure and making additional damage more likely as traffic travels over them. Considering that the cost of adding a right turn lane across the same intersection is $90,000, $12,000 seems excessive for this installation. Was there some sort of RFP or competitive bidding process involved in selecting this contract and this vendor? Why wouldn't these funds be allocated towards the right turn lane, something that will benefit each and every person who uses the intersection now and going forward forever? This is plastic, likely to be damaged by heavy traffic and snow plows in winter. This is plastic, likely to be damaged by sun, and I mean fading and breaking down of the plastic. Salt, sand, brine, gas and oil drippings will likely damage the plastic as well. If this is plastic, is there also a fire hazard from people throwing out their lit cigarettes while waiting at the light? Something to consider. It's perhaps exaggerated, but something to consider. The expectation has been set in the article that this is a permanent art installation. So at $12,000 initial cost, what is the estimated cost to maintain this display on a yearly basis? Or is maintenance not even possible? And the town will incur a cost of $12,000 each and every year going forward as the installation is damaged by traffic. Once this is up, it will not be possible to deinstall without significant backlash from the community. It's already been proposed as a permanent installation. And third, effective use of funds, which I've already touched on. Of what benefit is spending $12,000 on a display that will last for a year or two, rather than something more permanent or something reaching a wider audience like an information campaign, for example? Why not install just one or more flags like most other communities do at a cost a few $100s each that can be replaced for many, many years with the same budgeted amount? Why this one location? It makes no sense if the idea is to have visibility. People visit from the east to go to the Keg, the Rec Center, Home Depot, they won't see it. People from the north go to St. Andrews and Supercenter, they won't see it. People who visit the school board or Monders won't see it. People who visit one of my favorite restaurants, Locale, they won't see it coming from the south. None of these visitors will see the display, whereas all of them would if something was posted on the Welcome to Aurora signs on the major roadways into Aurora. This display will not be seen by most visitors to the town and will be quickly ignored by those who live here. Lastly, particularly in this time of crisis, within meters of the proposed installation, there are possibly businesses that are struggling to survive and stay open. What does it say about our priorities when we spend $12,000 on this frivolous display rather than doing more to help our local businesses? I've lived in Aurora for 25 years, and after reading about this proposal in Aurora, I don't think I've heard of a more ineffective use of taxpayer funds. That concludes my list of concerns and questions. I hope that council takes into account these items as they decide on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to receive and refer? Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Gardner. Any comments or questions for the delegate? Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Sinkovic, for, what did I say? Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, did I say something wrong? Sorry. Anyway, I'm sorry, I thought I heard something. My apologies. So thank you, Mr. Sinkovic, for delegating. First of all, I love your background. I think that's very, very nice. Secondly, just a comment. I heard what you said, and absolutely these things need to be taken into consideration. We'll have that discussion later on today. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
I'm sorry, I had an alarm going off because my 5 minutes ran out.
Oh, oh, that's good that you track that.
Yeah, I had a timer going while I was speaking, so I knew I was on time. Question.
So just wanted to say that the points you brought forward are very much going to be under consideration when we have a discussion this evening around those things of your concerns. But one of the things that I thought I'd bring to your attention is I grew up in Toronto, a very different place than this beautiful town we live in, town of Aurora, that I've been in here now for 22 years, and I love it. One of the things that I look to is most municipalities look to help their downtown core and rejuvenate downtown core. And for me, when I grew up in Weston, there was really nothing to define downtown until about 15, 20 years ago, when I could continue to go back and visit my parents, obviously. And what they did was a beautiful intersection called Emery Village. And they did exactly what we were planning to do in a very busy intersection at Weston and Shepherd, Finch and Shepherd. Very, very, very busy intersection. Absolutely looks fantastic. It brings a feeling of pride and respect for the area. and it just rejuvenates it. So from my perspective, I will ask those questions about concerns in terms of motorcycles riding over the area, making sure that it's safe for them. We'll talk about cost and where the funding's coming from, and I'm very confident that we're not going to have an impact to the residents and to the, in terms of a tax base issue. And also, we'll think about, good and hard about, safety. But since this intersection, I made a couple of calls to a couple of municipal friends of mine that are in that area, and I've asked, has there been an increase? I mean, it's very eye-catching. It's beautiful. There's all kinds of cobblestones around all four areas, blue and red, and intersections are so bright. And what they said was it's actually caused a bit of a slowdown. So people are a bit more cautious. They're approaching and they see some lovely areas around them. So I'm hopeful that it will not cause any more danger that intersection is causing us today. But thank you very much today. I just want to make those comments. I appreciate your concerns, and I'll be thinking about them when we have a discussion later today.
All right. Well, I certainly don't have any issue with recognizing the community. As I said, flags seem to me are very appropriate. Let's have flags down the boulevard there along with the planters, and that would be fine. But I'm just concerned about the safety and the cost of the plastic in the roadway. I mean, it just doesn't seem effective or productive.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but just a quick comment. While I don't agree with everything you said, the majority of it I do agree, but I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to come out and express your views. It's not always easy, and there's lots of apathy, and I'm really glad you did, even in this world of video conferencing. It's always a pleasure to have the public come out and express their views. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Sinkovic, for delegating. Like Councillor Gallo, whenever a resident makes the effort to make their voice heard, it's that's important in this democracy, to hear people from all facets of society. I respect all of the concerns you've expressed. There were many indeed. Can you highlight to me what your number one concern might be, if you could prioritize?
Well, I mean, it's a toss-up between the safety and the use of funds. The safety, I mean, I can't really speak to because I'm not that familiar with the actual implementation. I don't know. I've traveled through that intersection in Toronto and I've seen it. I'm not sure. Is that colored cobblestones? That's a bit different solution. I wouldn't have such safety concerns with the cobblestones. We drive through them on Wellington, for example, all the time, and it's not an issue. But being on a motorcycle and hearing that there's going to be plastic in the roadway, I just cannot imagine how that would not be slippery in wet weather. So does that mean I can't ride my motorcycle down that road and other people can't take their motorcycles down that road, or scooters and other vehicles, even bicycles? I mean, if this is kind of a textured, bumpy plastic surface of some kind, are bicycles going to get hung up in there? So I don't have enough information about the safety aspect, admittedly, because I haven't seen what's going to be implemented. But certainly from a use of funds, I mean, you think about plastic, and plastic is tremendously cheap. I don't understand. I can't get my head around. That's really the first thing that struck me about it, was I can't get my head around how strips of plastic cost $12,000. Okay, there's labor and installation and so forth, and maybe you have to have police on site there while they install this, and that adds to the cost. But $12,000 for an initial installation, and this is going to be permanent. So if it does get damaged, which it will, I mean, snow plows and cars and salt will take a beating on this plastic. It's going to have to be redone. And that means $12,000, maybe not yearly, maybe it's every second year or every third year, but this is an ongoing cost that is never going to be, eliminated, because it's always going to have to stay there.
Thank you, Mr. Sinkovic. Cost and safety issues, and I think we'll be able to address that, and I'm sure staff wouldn't recommend something that would be compromising our residents' safety. So we'll have that discussion later, and hope you will be tuned in to listen to that discussion. You talked about why we would have it on Yonge and Wellington when no one would see it, when people would see it just as easily see it as a flag in Town Hall. I would argue that more people would see something like this at Yonge and Wellington, our town center, as opposed to Town Hall. So, that's an argument for debate, but, I would argue then we could probably have 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Another point.
I suggested on the entrances to the city or all the way down to the street's flag.
Sorry, it's one way here for now. It's my turn to talk. In terms of, you mentioned it was a frivolous display, and I don't think this is a frivolous display. This is a matter of human rights, and when we talk about a frivolous display and it's costing too much and it's worth too much for something as human rights, I think that's beyond discussion or argument, and so I don't think there's a price tag to that. And I respect your views, and I really thank you for coming out and saying them. And you put out some good points. There are some points I disagree with, which I just mentioned a couple of them. But I think later on in the meeting when we discuss the motion, we'll alleviate. I think we hopefully will be able to alleviate your first 2 concerns. Thank you, sir.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. I would just like to say that no matter what anyone from the public thinks, I do appreciate when they come out and you didn't actually come to the chamber, but you did take the trouble to put yourself forward, and that does not happen very often. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Any other councillor? All right. Mr. Sinkovich, thank you very much for coming. As everyone stated, we know it's difficult to come out and speak. You've been here, was it 25 years?
Yes, yeah.
25 years, and I'm assuming this is your first time to come to council, before council?
It is.
Wow.
Yes.
It is? Well, welcome. Thank you. We appreciate it. Anytime anyone comes out, it's important part of democracy. And we appreciate everyone's and value everyone's opinion. So thank you very much for coming. We hope that you watch the rest of council and listen to the debate when we get to that motion. Thank you very much.
I will, with interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, call the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for Delegation B, receiving and referring to the motion. Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gartner?
Yes.
And Councillor Gallo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, council, we will move to consent agenda. Reading items that anyone has a question for, would like to hold. Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion to approve C1 to C11. So Gardner, is that you moving that, or you got a question?
I'm not moving it. I like S1, R3, and
Councilor, we're on consent. We're on consent agenda.
thank you.
Standard.
Not the S. Thank you.
Yes, we're not on the S's. We're on the C's. No one has anything? Would someone like to move approval of C1 to C11? Councilor Thompson, seconded by Councilor Gilliland. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for items on the consent agenda this evening. Councillor Gartner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now we will move to standing committee reports. Councilor Garner, what would you like to?
I'd like S3 and S8.
So S1 R3 and S1 R8.
S1 R3, S1 R8.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, if I could get a motion to approve all other items minus S1R3 and S1R8. Moved by Councillor Gilliland, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for the items in the standing committee reports minus the ones that you noted. Councillor Humphreys,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Councillor Gartner,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
and Mayor Maracus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Oh, council, we'll start. Oh, yeah, we'll start with S1R3. Councillor Gardner, you pulled that one. Would you like to move it?
I won't at this moment.
Would Councillor Thompson, thank you. Second, Councillor Gilliland, Councillor Gardner. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I just have some clarity? With respect to including a member from Our Lady of Grace, I think you said last week that it would be for this first mural because of the proximity of the mural to the church. I don't believe you were in. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And your reason for including someone from Our Lady of Grace?
Considering the structures in front of their building that they've just recently renovated. Yeah.
So you want to make sure that it's pleasant and peaceful, I assume?
Well, I mean, I think that they should have a say. If someone was doing a mural in front of your house, wouldn't you want to have some say?
Well, I have two whoops. I don't know. Am I still there?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I have two minds about this, but I think I will be voting in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this one? Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. Just because it was brought up, I think there's some value in a bit of an explanation. We did receive an email from someone that was expressed their views in terms of their opposition towards having the church have a say in it. Some very good points were made. My view is that having one representative from the church, to me, makes sense. That does not equal a majority. It equals, to me, someone expressing a viewpoint. And if the majority of that committee don't agree, then so be it. So while I appreciated the comments and there were a lot of valid points, I'll be supporting this, and I think it's there's merit in having the church have a representation there.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for item S1R3 on this evening's agenda. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Gartner,
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys,
Yes.
and Mayor Maracus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. R8, S1R8. Councillor Gardner, you pulled that one as well. Would you like to move it? That is
Yes,
the
I will.
Heritage for Cedar Trail subdivision. Okay, someone like to second that?
Yes, thank you.
I
Thank
just
you.
need a
I
second.
forgot.
Councillor, 1 second. I just need a seconder. Councillor Gallo. Go ahead, Councillor.
I forgot to mention this last week, but there was a request from the developer who was allowed to tear down this home that did have some historical significance to provide a marker with some of the I think some of the material from the tear down. And I'm wondering, there was nothing about that in the report. So through you perhaps to Mr. Waters.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. If you go to the report on page 2 of 5, there are 4 conditions of draft plan approval that the developer or applicant has to satisfy. And Councillor Gardner is absolutely correct. One of them is that the material salvaged from the demolished home be used in a plaque. They're not at that stage yet.
Okay.
You'll have to satisfy that draft plan condition in order to finalize their subdivision agreement. They're not at that stage yet.
Thank you very much, because from what I understand, that hasn't been, it's been asked by the committee and it's been part of requirements, but I haven't seen any information about that marker or plaque. So I'm glad to know it's still in the works. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
That's all.
Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for S1 R8 on tonight's agenda. Councillor Gallo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Gardner?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Move to motions. We have 3. First one, Councillor Humphreys, regarding adoption of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Would you like to move as is?
Yes, please.
Would you like to second that? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the motion speaks to very clearly in times like this, more importantly than ever, that we remember our history very, very well, and that we continue to have a significance put around it. I'm honored to be able to move this forward this evening, and I hope that our peers will move it as well. So, a very serious issue, and one that should never ever be forgotten, and one that needs to be very, very much respected in many ways. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Motion. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to Councillor Humphreys. The IHRAs, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. The IHRA's member countries have pledged to remember and to educate on what happened in the Holocaust. And it did happen. My husband's parents lost their entire families. Their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. It's hard to imagine surviving that and continuing. So, unfortunately, these people were targeted because of their religion and their ancestry. And they also, unfortunately, had very unpleasant deaths. So I'm very, on behalf of my husband and all those in his family who are not alive, to thank you. I do that. And I would also like to say that apart from all of those souls that were lost, there were many millions of other people that were lost. And I do remember sitting in the council chamber and hearing that Councillor Varanchik's family had also been decimated. So, you know, that was millions of people. And unfortunately, we have examples in the present and not too distant past that this is happening in other communities. So I'm pleased about the motion. I would like to ask you, Mr. Mayor, I know that Vaughan did declare Holocaust Remembrance Day as part of their motion. So I'm asking you to consider that. I know that you do proclamations. And also I have to say, words do matter, but it is the actions and the behavior that we take. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Humphries, I'll let you wrap it. Oh, sorry, I'll go to Councillor Kim. First.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Humphries. This is a great motion, and the Jewish people have been suffering for a long time, and anti-Semitism has existed, unfortunately, for thousands of years. So whenever we have an opportunity to take action, certainly we must do so. And in any type of racism whatsoever, it takes a mental toll. So we talk about decades of mental illness, and now the last few years, society has highlighted mental illness as something that needs to come to the forefront. So dealing with anti-Semitism, racism, and prejudice of any nature, when you resolve that, and that's a big challenge, you can help overcome a big chunk of mental illness. So I'm in full support, and thank you, Councillor Humphries.
Anybody else? Or I'll go to Councillor Humphries for a second. Wrap it up. Councillor Humphries?
Those three, Mr. Mayor, and I just wanted to thank Councillor Gardner for sharing the very personal impact to her direct family. And I just a very quick story. My mother always told a story when she was a little girl in Italy, about 4 or 5, that her grandmother, they took a family hiding, running away, and they put them in a horse and buggy wagon full of laundry on top, and they rode to the borders to get them across to America. And every area that my grandmother and my grandfather rode through, they would say, "We're washing our clothes, we live over here," and they kept getting through. So it was very, very terrifying for everyone, but they saved 3 little ones and a mom. The dad wasn't so lucky. So I always heard this story, and Italy was in the middle of a lot of that craziness, and I just wanted to say I'm honored to support this motion for our history, and it never has to be forgotten. And Mr. Mayor, if you would do a proclamation one day, that would be amazing as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner, absolutely. Proclamation. Consider it done. We'll do it. It's absolutely needed, and you're right. Actions needed. Words are important, but actions needed, and that's what we need to do around here. So, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to even expanding upon that. And I know you and I have had some conversations, and I'd like to see us even do a little bit more than what we're doing. So, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Humphries, for bringing this forward. Mr. Clerk, call the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for the first motion on tonight's agenda. Mayor Maracus, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
A heartfelt yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
And Councillor Humphries.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That was unanimous. Next is my motion, so I'll pass the chair to Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So would you like to put your motion on the floor, please?
I'll move as is.
Seconder, Councillor Humphreys. Mr. Mayor.
Not really much to say. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's something. I think that's something that's needed. I think it's important to our community. We will be the first in our region, and we always talk about being leaders. And I think as an example of how we can lead and show that we are an inclusive, diverse community that is welcoming of all. And I'd like to hear what my colleagues have to say.
Any comments or questions? Sorry, I can't see anybody, so.
Councillor Humphreys put up her hand first.
Thank you. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to say I'm in full support of this crosswalk. I think it's an incredible idea. It demonstrates inclusivity. It's going to do what we need to have done within our downtown core, is to create more excitement, visibility, show who we are, how welcoming and open we are. So I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this motion. Just a question, quick, through Mr. Mayor, through Mr. Chair. There was some discussion about safety from our delegation. Can we have a little bit of input from anyone that could share how we feel that the material being used to create the colors is safety for roads, including motorcycles? There he is. Perhaps Mr. Downey can speak to that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Downey?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Yeah, the existing crosswalk, the zebra crosswalk, is a thermoplastic. In fact, that's a regional standard. It was installed somewhere between 2012 and 2014. So the product that we are looking at right now is, once again, a thermoplastic, so it meets the regional standard. We feel that it's probably got a life expectancy of about 8 to 10 years, depending on how much traffic there is. But the existing crosswalk, I believe, was refreshed in 2018, but it's still generally in pretty good shape.
That's great. Thank you very much. That was one of my main concerns. And from a safety perspective, we don't have any concerns in terms of motorcycles riding over that. Obviously, it's been installed from 2008, I think I heard. So obviously, it's a traffic safety product that we can use for all vehicles to go along.
Mr. Downey?
Confirm that. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we don't have any concerns with regards to the product. We haven't heard of any concerns with regards to the product. As I say, it's a regional standard. They put it on all the crosswalks, all the regional crosswalks throughout the region. And so if we were going to do the crosswalk, they would require us to put down a thermoplastic.
Great, thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
If anyone else would like to speak, please just raise your hand. And so I have Councillor Gardner.
Well, I was to say Councillor Thompson had his little hand up.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay,
fine.
Councillor Thompson.
Since I can see them, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A similar question that Councillor Humphreys just asked, just in looking at some of the other municipalities, Oshawa, Burlington, Hamilton, they appear to also use thermoplastics. So I guess I was just going to follow up and ask about that safety aspect, but Mr. Downey's answered it, that it is standard, and that there doesn't seem to be any concern since it is of a similar material as all other crosswalks. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. Could I just ask Mr. Downey what he means by refreshed and how much that costs?
Mr. Downey?
I'm sorry, but I don't have a cost on the refresh. It's basically cleaning it so it's more visible, and making sure that we have clear visibility with regards to the crosswalk. So after a while, it gets beat up with grime and tire tracks and that type of thing. So they're going in and cleaning it up. But speaking to the contractor,
Okay.
that the product is good for about 10 years.
Thank you.
Councilor Gardner?
I don't know who's to answer this, but I believe that the region and the town are going to be redoing that intersection and putting in turn lanes. So would this crosswalk have to be taken up?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we've had discussions with the region with regards to the work that is proposed in the area. There may be a need to look at extending the crosswalk, and that we may be actually looking at additional turn lanes. But we feel that the work that is being done now will not be compromised.
Councilor
So,
Gardner?
so for the record, Mr. Downey, if we do this, it's going to be able to stay intact, even though we're doing work on that crosswalk.
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, my understanding in conversations with staff, town staff as well as regional staff, is that if work is going to take place, it may actually extend the length of this crosswalk.
Okay.
So we may need to look at extending it as opposed to ripping it up and putting a brand new one down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I didn't understand that. And where is this money going to come? Have we got money in the budget that we've passed? Where is this money going to come?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if council approves this, we have a quote of approximately $12,600, and it would have to be allocated out of our operating budget. And as director, I have the ability to reallocate funds within our operating budget in order to deal with any over budgeting, but we would be taking it out of our operating budget. We do not have a capital project for this.
No, we wouldn't, but if this money goes to the crosswalk, what would we be? I know you reallocate money, that's common, but where would you be reallocating it from? Like, we already know we're already into July, so we have a pretty good idea on what with respect to our budgets. Where would you be able to reallocate it from?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I haven't selected a particular budget item at this point. I would have to review the budget. But as I said, if council approves this, since we haven't got a capital project, it would have to come out of operating, and we would have to reallocate within the operating budget. And I'm sorry, but I have not done that exercise.
Councilor Gardner?
So, Mr. Downey, we have money in our councilor's budget for conferences and materials and X, Y, and Z. Could we be more strict on our counselor's budget and take that money and allocate some of that towards operating?
Mr. Downey?
You, Mr. Chair, I welcome any help.
I was going to interrupt, Mr. Chair, and say that may be a question for Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Yes, thank you. That would be a question for Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Sorry to interrupt,
Mr. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So part of the latest forecast update we did included the latest information for the council budget. So we factored in any changes that would be reflecting of not attending conferences in council's budget. So that would have already been factored in as being a part of contributing to part of the surplus for this year. So that being said, if we were to go and spend money on this crosswalk and we did not have an offset, it would either reduce a potential surplus or increase a potential deficit at the end of the year. So through our surplus management policy, it would end up coming out of reserves.
Councillor Gardner?
Thank you. So we would not, as a council, we would not be able to reduce our expenses somehow and contribute it to operating?
Ms. Wainwright, Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So right now, the council budget, most of the budget is actually relating to salaries. So there's not very much flexibility in the budget itself. There are some items there for conferences, which is seeing some savings this year. But the council contingency amount that's in the budget has been more than fully allocated this year. So if it was charged to the council budget, it would actually show the council budget in a deficit position this year.
Councillor Gardner?
I chose not to go to the conference this year to save money. So the money that I saved has already been more than spent. Is that what you're saying? I couldn't use that to contribute to this
Ms.
project?
Wainwright, Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have the specific numbers in front of me, but I know with the council contingency, normally we have $10,000 in there, and I believe about $15,000 has already been allocated this year through a number of the initiatives relating to our COVID response. So that has used some of the funds that the council has saved on not attending conferences by contributing to some of the COVID response efforts.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Councillor Gilliland has her hand. Mr. Chair?
Sorry, I cut out there for 30 seconds there. Sorry, Councillor Gardner? Are you finished?
I think Councillor
Well,
Gardner's-
I get another turn, right? Okay. I'd like to know what anybody else thinks.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
Councillor Gilliland has her hand up next, Mr. Chair.
okay, Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. I did have a similar question, and Councillor Gardner had asked the question about the region expanding the whole intersection at Yonge Wellington in 2022. And I guess the question I have through Mr. Chair to Mr. Downey is if we're going to be tearing up the road and reapplying the plastic on there and potentially expanding it even further, do we have a cost analysis of what that extra cost would be to add on to this plastic? Would it be a laborious project to do twice, or would it make more sense to do it all at once it's completed in 2022 and have one big application? Just for cost effectiveness, I'm curious.
Mr. Down?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I can't answer that. I'm not 100% sure. I know that in the conversations we've had with the contractor, this thermoplastic is pretty well the standard that everyone uses with regards to rainbow crosswalks. If we're looking at an expansion, I would suggest that it would be exactly the same material, simply applied to that widening. It's not my understanding they're going to be tearing up the entire intersection, but rather widening the intersection. So there'll be portions of the road that will be torn up, but that could then be applied or extended on that new section.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. I guess that kind of answered my question. I mean, I kind of believe that if a road's being expanded or widened, that there's going to be a lot of heavy construction vehicles on there that potentially could be tearing it up. From my understanding offline, I understand that perhaps the material itself can be heated off and then back on. I don't know if that's the intent, but I'm really just trying to understand the cost effectiveness of applying. I think it's a great idea and I absolutely love it. In fact, I'd like to see it at Moseley, but from my understanding, it won't adhere to pattern concrete. So here we are at Young and Wellington for on a cost savings or cost efficiency. I just wonder if it's more cost effective to do it all at once after the construction. So I would really like to know what the cost is by doing it twice within a very short period of time, and what the risks are involved with the damage to this plastic, and what that process is before saying, hey, yeah, let's just go spend this money, without really knowing the consequence of the construction or the widening in a year and a half. And I was just hoping that perhaps you could shed a little bit more light on what that actually meant.
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I think those are great questions. But the reason I'm being somewhat invasive is I don't know what the actual final design is going to look like. So my understanding of the design is we're looking at a widening. So that would mean that what's there will stay, and we would have additional asphalt that we would then have to put this crosswalk across. That's, from a high level view without looking at detailed design, that's what we'd be looking at. It may very well be that when we do get into the redesign and the reconstruction, there will be a need to do more work, and it may cause some damage to this crosswalk, but that is not my understanding. So I'm being somewhat evasive because I don't know what the final design is. I'm giving you the best answer I have with the information that I have.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. And I guess the other question I had that was brought up by the delegate was, are there any annual maintenance costs to the crosswalk, or is this just something you apply and then after 8 to 10 years you do an assessment and you replace, or is there some other maintenance cost involved?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, my understanding is that it's fairly low maintenance, which is the reason that we're looking at this thermoplastic as opposed to a paint. And it's one of the reasons the region is approves this material is because of the low maintenance. So we aren't anticipating an annual operating cost to maintain this. It had been down for 6 to 8 years before it looked at a refresh where they had to come in and clean it up a little bit. So the operating cost on this is fairly low.
Thank you.
And
thank you. And Councillor Gardner had asked a question about what the refresh cost was. And can you confirm you didn't know what a refresh cost was, or what that meant, if that was like a whole entire $12,000 or cost, inflation, now all of a sudden now it's $15,000. I'm just trying to understand, again, just the process, what we're actually spending our money.
Mr. Downey?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So to just give you an idea, the existing zebra crosswalk cost $8,400 to be installed. So that was installed 6 to 8 years ago. And refresh was just coming in and cleaning it up so that it was more visible. So my understanding is that's a fairly minor operating cost. But the zebra cost itself is $8,400. The rainbow walkway, the estimate we have is $12,600. So about $4,000 difference between the existing crosswalk that was put in and the rainbow crosswalk that is being proposed.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. I'm going to listen to what my other colleagues have to say. I absolutely love the idea of having this crosswalk. I think it does, it supports the community and it sends a message, and we're supporting the LGBT community. I think it's fantastic. My only hang up is it cost effective to do this now before 2022 when the region widens the road and we're doing the work twice? And I would be more comfortable having more of a cost analysis before installing it right away. And so we kind of understand what those costs look like a year and a half from now, and make an assessment from there. That's and I'll leave that with the rest of my council members. Thank you.
Councillor Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess generally speaking, I'm in support of these types of endeavors, and there's great value to the community. There's no question about that. A couple of issues that I have. First off, I didn't really enjoy having to read in the newspaper, the cost of this. I think somehow that could have been communicated to us. We heard it tonight, and that's fine. To me, I don't really see an urgency of this, and I hope I'm consistent in terms of spending money. I think one delegate spoke that it wouldn't be hitting the tax base, and unless I'm mistaken, operating costs, taxpayers pay. And in these times, probably quite a tall order for Mr. Downey to find $12,000 in his budget. And I'm not even so sure if we're doing this, what aren't we doing? So based on that and not seeing an urgency, and certainly I think the idea is great. I think the timing sucks, and to no fault of anyone. It's just not something that I'm willing to spend money on right now. I'd be more than happy to push it to budget, have a discussion, deal with it next year. But I won't be supporting it today. No matter how noble the cause is, spending taxpayer money today just doesn't sit well with me, particularly mid-budget. No matter how important or the cause may be, and I don't disagree that this is an important thing, and I agree with all the positive things that this could generate. For me, it's a financial issue.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. In principle, I would support the rainbow crosswalk. Rainbows have, many symbolic interpretations. For the LGBTQ community, it means acceptance. For other, faith-based groups, like Christians, it means God's covenantal grace. And for the general population, it may mean hope and prosperity. And for all these reasons, having it on our main street sidewalk would be visually and symbolically appealing to a wide cross-section of Aurorans. So, those are the reasons I would, I'd be for it. I certainly share the views with respect to the finances. Councillor Humphreys, do you have your hand up?
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. If it's all right that I just one last comment. It's my second.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, I know that there's some concerns about spending the 12,000 at this point, and I know it's difficult sometimes for even the public to think, why are we doing this? But it's so important right now to give hope and love to our town, and sometimes we have to weigh value. And I understand, some concerns, absolutely understand concerns, but for me, the symbol, as you mentioned, Councillor Kim, the symbolism of having this in our downtown core, that we continue to say we want to do things to revitalize it, and we're just starting to touch it a little bit now. And I think we really need to, for me, I'm just following the focus that I want our downtown to be something really special. And I think this is a great symbol of that. So, anyways, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Anyone else? Second time? Councillor Gardner?
Thank you. No, I think it's actually, I think it's a great idea. I'm not exactly sure if that's the right intersection, but I like where the mayor is going with this. But I have to be consistent with what I'm trying to do, which is being concerned about saving money or not spending money. And $12,000 isn't a lot of money in the scheme of things. But just the very fact that Mr. Sinkovic came out to speak to us. I think he's representing the way a lot of residents feel at this time. And I'm not worried about the offending the community. Those who know me, certainly Mr. Gall knows that I've been very sincere in my support of Pride. And although Mr. Coolman doesn't know me, I believe that I have been a very good supporter and hopefully a good friend to some of those in the community. So I just can't vote for this, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate what you're trying to do with this. And I'm hoping that maybe we can take another idea. Maybe we can do flags. Maybe we can do something in the interim. And when we do fix up the intersection in a couple of years, hopefully our finances will be better. And it will make a statement then, and we can make a statement of support in other ways right now.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. You know, recently this council unanimously approved the Diversity and Inclusion Charter, and I always think it's great, you know, to put our hands up and when it's a policy or a document, but there are times where you also got to act. And this is an action that reinforces that whole diversity and inclusion chart. The motion clearly states that the initiative really is just not just about inclusivity, but showing that the town is welcoming and accepting of all. And so, you know, I'm fully supportive of that concept. And the fact that there's going to be an annual or a occasional cost to maintain this, I'm comfortable with that because again, it reaffirms the message that we're saying that, you know, the town is welcoming to all. And I must say, I'm a little surprised at some of the comments. We just had a conversation about the murals and they're $5,000 for one mural. And I didn't hear anybody really talking about the cost or the right time or any of the same financial concerns that I'm hearing for this. I got to wonder why. How different are these two initiatives? Both of them provide benefit to the community. And yes, there's a cost, but I believe the benefit outweighs the cost. And I'm fully behind this one. I appreciate you bringing it forward, Mayor, and I look to seeing the vote.
Anyone else for second time comments and questions? Mr. Mayor?
Oh, Councillor Gilliland, if she wants to go, she can go. I was just going to finish up.
Okay, Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate Councillor Thompson's comments, and I agree with a lot of what you had said there. I'm still on the fence, but I do want to move forward with this initiative. I do think it's absolutely fantastic. It's the fact that we were never really presented with a cost analysis on the motion to begin with, and we're just kind of learning about these costs now. And I guess for me, it's more or less, is this going to cost another, you know, is it going to cost $8,000 to just widen that little piece? And you know, as much as I'm more than happy to invest in that, I just really want to have fulsome understanding of what those costs are going to be when the region does come to tear up the road. I've heard two different explanations, one where, you know, there could be some damage and they just extend it. And I've also heard that they can lift it and then reapply it. But I'm not certain as to if that is the actual method. And so for me, I want to say, yeah, let's go ahead with this, but I would like to have some sort of cost being presented or some implication of the budget moving forward, what this is actually going to cost. Because as far as what's being presented today will need to be redone in a year and a half. And I think that's all I'm really looking for, but I would love to move forward, but I just want to see some numbers back from staff just to kind of reflect that concern.
Thank you, Councillor Gilliland. If there's no other voices, I'll pass it over to Mayor Maracus for his summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's always great to have a debate around the table. At the region last week, we dealt with an issue of mandatory mask policy. We also dealt with this specific issue. This was an added item on the regional agenda to have regional approval for the town of Aurora to move forward with a rainbow crosswalk. I have to say I was very honored and proud that my colleagues at the region jumped at the chance not only to second it, no comments, no questions, unanimous vote, support, because they see the value in it. Sometimes you do things because it's the right thing to do, and that's what we're doing. So, Mr. Chair, I ask that you call the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll call the vote. Councilor Gallo?
Thank you. Just to follow up on what Councillor Thompson had said, and to a certain degree, he has a point. I think for me, the $5,000 for the mural came out of council contingency, has money there. We weren't shifting money around to do that project and not do something else. So that's where I sit with that. As far as the region supporting it, I think that's fantastic, and I'm glad to see all of them supported it, and I'm not diminishing what we're trying to do here. But the region isn't paying for it, we are, and that's my point.
Thank you, Councilor Gallo. If there's no one else for the second time, I'll call the vote. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Record vote for motion B on tonight's agenda. Councilor Gardner?
Regrettably, no.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councilor Kim?
Yes.
Councilor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councilor Gilliland?
In principle, I'm going to support this.
So that's a yes. Thank you. Councilor Gallo?
No.
And Councilor Thompson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So I'll pass the floor back to the mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kim. Next up, we have a motion from Councillor Kim and myself, but moved by Councillor Kim for Black Racism and Anti-Racism Task Force. Councillor Kim, would you like to move it?
Yes, I'll move it as is.
Seconded. Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Kim, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I think, last summer, there was another motion I put forward in terms of have staff investigate diversity, in Aurora and in town of Aurora with respect to employment. And I believe that's coming to us in sometime in the fall. And, a lot of things have happened. It seems like every year there's always some, really, really bad incident that happens, whether it be in the States or in Canada, and lately with the George Floyd incident. And so, with that, the mayor and I were talking about what we can do as a community, as a town, to not just merely have discussion, but take action. And, one of the items that we discovered in our investigation, the United Nations, they had a project or mandate called the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. And it's not just it's not merely just about education and promoting Black well-being, but it's also about development and taking action, having a firm action plan. And so, for the mayor and I, this is, a step that we can do as a town to take action. I know we've had other actions before, but we want to take action, something solid and something measurable, and hence the motion. I know last year in March 2019, the City of Toronto also inherited the UN Decades program, and they've taken on initiatives since then. So they have 5 years to take their respective actions in the City of Toronto. We have almost 5 years, maybe 4 years that staff can working with staff and this working group that we can get something going. And so hence the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Is there any other comments or questions on Councillor Kim's motion? Councillor Humphreys.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to thank both yourself and Councillor Kim for bringing this forward. I have to say I'm really proud of this evening's motions. They all mean so much to me, and I believe all of us, and to the residents. I see ourselves like, what leadership are we showing, and how open arms we want to be in terms of respecting and being kind to one another. I'm really thrilled with this very, very much. And thank you very much that this is going to happen. And just like I believe Councillor Kim mentioned, or I'm sorry if it's wrong, but that we're actually taking action. We're not just stamping our approval on it, or some other municipality passed a very good motion, we support it. We're actually doing something. So thank you very much. Very happy about this.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. I'm very glad to see this motion, and I'm fully in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Anything? Oh, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. You're certainly supportive of the motion, and I think that I appreciate both yourself and Councillor Kim bringing it forward. In the past, sometimes when we've had, I'll call it sort of more of a focused or specialized committee, when we've gone out to the public, we've put some wording into the advertisement of when we're seeking citizen members, sort of looking for specific experience or skills or background that could complement the community. Perhaps bring some knowledge and experience to the issues. And so I'm just wondering, the way it just reads, it's sort of saying we're going to follow our standard process and put our ad up, but will there be an attempt to try and perhaps put some language in those advertisements to try and, I guess, encourage or seek out people who could add to this committee with their knowledge and experience or background?
Councillor Kim? Or did you want me to have, I mean, you can go right ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. That's a very great question, and certainly, if whether it's anti-Semitic task force or anti-Black task force, you certainly want people that are in that racial profile to be incorporated into that group, because they have that lived experience and they can give us firsthand knowledge of their experience and their testimony, and really, only them can provide the type of solutions we need to alleviate some of the pain in our society. But certainly, I think we do need diverse views. So, my anticipation is that we would have several people in the African Canadian community, but I would also think that we should have a couple of individuals from other racial profiles as well, or racial groups. But we will work with staff and and hear the recommendations as well.
Appreciate the input.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, Councillor Kim, obviously we work together on that, and I appreciate all the work that, I mean, you talked to me about this, and you've also put forward a couple of other initiatives within the town, and I know we're striving to take action on a lot of these issues that are coming to the forefront. And so I commend you and this council for what we're doing. I just wanted to add that I will be talking to Mayor Taylor. I know that Newmarket is looking to do something similar from a task force perspective or committee. And I want to have a conversation with him, possibly seeing if there's a way that we could collaborate and have the task force working together. Because I know that this doesn't end at our borders, this is beyond our borders. And so I think that there'd be a lot of value in us working together. So I will reach out to Mayor Taylor about that, because I just want to mention that, because I know that they are definitely doing something very similar. And so I think that would be very valuable to both communities if we combine our efforts on this. So once again, thank you, Councillor Kim, and I'll let you wrap it up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything more to say. I think there's a lot of whereases and there's a lot of further resolved in there. So pretty well helps me out in terms of further elaboration. But thank you all for your support. And I know you guys all feel the same way. And I think over the next several months, there's going to be a lot of action plans that are going to come out. And I hope that we can continue to trudge on, not just because there's new headlines that come out that's incenting us to do so, but even in the midst of quiet, that we can go on and take action. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Mr. Clerk, call the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for motion C on this evening's agenda. Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
and Mayor Marakis.
Yes,
Motion carries.
unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Regional report. Someone like to move to receive? Councillor Humphreys, second. Councillor Gardner. Comments or questions on the regional report? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see in the report that, am I on mute? That the region, the decision is that the region and municipalities prefer to collectively transition to the new format for waste, and that we're going to do that in 2025. So that's a decision that's been made on our behalf. Yes.
Yes. Well,
Thank
we
you.
dealt with it here, remember? And then it moved to the region.
Yes, I know. We had requested to try and do it earlier. Also, I see that there's a pilot project. The region has a pilot project with radar technology. So I'm assuming that's red light cameras at installed in community safety zones.
Mhm.
So thinking that Aurora is not one of them. I think they
We will. They're going to have them moving around throughout the region.
I have a motion pending. I think it must be about 5 years now. So I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you for your work at the region.
Thank you. Comments, other comments, questions to the regional report? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment that I was happy to see that the greenhouse gas emission target was achieved. It was a really big accomplishment. I was trying to understand the new partnership between York Region and Durham Region and the sewer system operating agreement. I was wondering if maybe you could kind of maybe touch on that as to what that means for residents of York Region.
I will get you more information on that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I guess the other thing that I also noticed was about the regional fire services. So I guess I'm a little bit sad that that didn't go through. So I guess moving forward, the status quo with independent fire services, with the exception of Aurora Newmarket. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I'll talk to Mayor Taylor about this. But we might look at bringing back the motion that we tabled in regards to looking at the possibility of partnering or amalgamating with Stouffville as well. Remember that came before we started to look at the regional service. So we might revisit that issue now.
Great, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the regional report? Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for the regional report. Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Mayor Maracus,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
and Councillor Gallo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. New business. I will start in order as I see you on my screen. Councilor Gallo. Councilor Gardner. New business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spoke last time about dogs being loose in the wildlife park, and through you to whoever you think is appropriate. I'm wondering if we can put up, well, we are going to put up barriers there at some point, fencing or some sort. No, then could you?
No, sorry, Councilor Gardner, I didn't hear you. Sorry, that's.
Oh, sorry. So I'm just wondering if we're going to be doing barricade fencing to keep the dogs. Apparently, it's not the dogs barking that could disturb the wildlife. It's the dogs actually going into the areas where the wildlife is living. So are we going to have any kind of barricade fencing to prevent the dogs from going in there? Or are we going to tell people they can't bring their dogs?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So this actually was a discussion fairly early in the conception of the park and in talking to Mr. Tomlinson. So we are not going to be putting up barriers preventing dogs. Dogs should be on a leash if you're going through the park. However, even if they are on a leash, quite often some of these leashes are long. And all they need to do is go in and disturb a nest, and that will be enough to not provide an opportunity for that bird family to exist. So he has suggested, however, we have not got this far in the governance of the wildlife park. He has suggested there will be a time when people will not be permitted to have dogs in the
nesting.
wildlife. And that we will be then posting signage preventing dogs from being in the park during nesting period.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good to hear, because I mean the whole purpose of the park is to ensure the nesting cycles. Am I still here?
Yep.
Okay, I lost everybody for a moment. With respect to the AMO conference, I'm not going to save some money, but I hope that people who are going will share information at council, anything that they consider to be important.
I don't think anyone's going, Councilor Gardner.
Really?
It's a virtual conference.
No, I know that. I know that. Is nobody attending the virtual conference?
No. No one is attending the virtual conference. And I think their numbers are way down now. I think many people are attending the virtual conference.
Okay. So we won't have that information. Also, I got a really nice email. Those of us who are a little bit older are getting $300 from the government to help us with some of the extra expenses that we might have had with COVID. So a resident got in touch with me. She said that she really doesn't need the money and she would like to do something with it. So I was thinking the golf committee fund or the golf fund committee could use the money. So how would somebody actually go about sending the money to the committee?
Mr. Clerk, do you have an answer to that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I might look for some help from Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel here on a sort of a donation to the town, if that's allowed.
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So if they're interested in doing that, they could mail the donation to the town and just with specific instructions as to what they'd like to do. If they'd like to reach out to us first before sending anything, then what they could do is email info@aurora.ca, and then we can give them specific instructions and specific name of person.
Oh, okay, thank you. I missed, you cut it, their email.
info@aurora.ca.
Oh,
And
Okay.
Counselor, maybe, yeah, maybe we'll send that information through email as well, just to you, so that way you can flip it as well. If that
thank
works.
you. And if anybody's listening to us, what a great idea. If you don't need the money, pass it on to those who do. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Thompson, new business.
Just a question, actually, through you to Mr. Nadarozny. Mr. Nadarozny, with the rest of the province moving to stage 3 and rumors swirling that York Region may follow suit in a week or two, are we starting to contemplate opening up our facilities in August now?
JL?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as a last updated council, we have a graduated opening schedule already in place. So pools will start next week, and we're looking at bringing an ice pad up in early August. The move to stage 3 would certainly allow for more things to happen, but we're taking a very slow approach that with the limitations on distancing and some of the other requirements that we're now reading in the actual orders. Some of the things that seem on the surface easy to bring up will be quite challenging with our physical setup. So we will keep council fully informed, though, as we can bring things online. We also, like most municipalities, while there is certainly some demand for all of these services, there's also a significant amount of angst amongst the public. And so we don't want to bring up services too quickly and not have people that really want to use them. So the response will be varied across a spectrum of our services, depending on what we can physically do, as well as what we anticipate the demand will be. But we're working very closely with sports groups and with other groups to assess that and to make sure that we open up as many resources as we can quickly.
Thank you. And the two that I was thinking of most were Club Aurora, the gym, as well as the walking track. The two things here that people are looking forward to having access to again. And those were the two that I was thinking most in my mind come whenever the stage 3 were to happen.
Mr. CO?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor. So that's an example of where we will probably offer some form of service on a pre-appointment basis, right? Rather than trying to control crowds in the door and having people standing in the lobby and dealing with physical distancing. So like our pools are going to be, there's no general public swim. There's no times when people could just wander in. Basically, we will know who's coming to our buildings for the initial phases, and we will schedule that and space it appropriately. So I would expect that, yes, something like the gym, we would be able to accommodate some number of residents and be able to get that running at some level. But we haven't done a full analysis of that yet. But as soon as we're aware of the details, we will inform council for sure.
No, and I understand the complexities and how challenging it can be. I think it's just great that, we are starting to look ahead to that and putting together a proposal and plan to at least try and manage the situation to the best of our abilities. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gilliland, new business?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one item. I've been hosting with through the town and a couple other councillors in the arts and culture discussion roundtable, and it's set to be wrapping up this July. And I just want to say that it has been a fantastic group, and we've benefited greatly from it, and it's been very engaging. with the stakeholders, musicians and artists and such. And we've also had a fantastic video that was just released, some words from the mayor, and a rendition of a song that was sung by some local artists and featuring some of the local arts and culture within our town, in hopes of uplifting and spirit of our arts and culture sector. And I really truly hope everybody has a moment to take a peek at that and share and support one another, because they really are the fabric of our community. Having said that, I did reach out to staff. I thought it would be a good opportunity to perhaps put a motion in for an arts and culture group committee moving forward. But from what I've understood and what I've learned is that we have a cultural master plan that's underway with many of the same members that are on now. So it has been at a bit of a stall with the COVID-19. So this has certainly been a very helpful, I guess, I don't want to say void, but you know, the fact that they haven't been able to meet, this has really helped kind of move that business forward. And since they are, you know, the first to fall and they will be the last to pick up, there's still an industry that doesn't have a clear set of guidelines yet. And we're still trying to see what that looks like, and then try and pick each other up. And I know there's plenty of, you know, external fundraisers and chatter, and we're trying our best to keep it alive and support one another. And in doing so, I am going to want to continue on with this discussion group, at least for, you know, take August off, and at least for September and October, just to capture some of the cultural days that are ahead. And then from there, once the cultural master plan group commences, and I'm sure it'll kind of pick up and take off. I would love to be able to host through the town, obviously just as a present with staff, no tasking or project making, and just keep the discussions going. And with the culture days up ahead, I think that, or a month rather, I think that this would be a really excellent opportunity just to stay connected for at least a couple more months while we get through these times. So I'm really hoping that I have that support.
Thank you, Councillor. And the group did excellent work. Thank you to you, Councillor Gallo and Councillor Humphreys, for all the work that you guys have done with the group. I know that it was valuable work. The video was extremely excellent, and I think everyone was proud of seeing that video. I know that even Glenn Mills has reached out to my office and is working with Shelley right now on a possible, I guess, look at the bag, possible drive-in concert, which I think we're all excited about. We've already got the drive-in movie coming week Friday, and so we figured we can kind of expand upon that. And Shelley's done some phenomenal work in that regard. So there's some exciting things coming up from the arts and culture. We're all very excited about those things. But great work on your three parts. And I look forward to getting everyone up and running. Councillor Kim, can you hear me, Councillor Humphreys? Do I need to speak loud? Is that better? Is that better? Okay. Councillor Kim.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Downey. You know those green, I think they're cable boxes. I noticed that there's one in the neighborhood that has its wire sticking out. It looks like there was an accident or something. Does that belong to the town, or does that belong to Rogers Cable or Bell Box, or who can we residents notify for that?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it actually belongs to Bell. If you could tell us the address, I'd be happy to contact Bell and have them do some repairs. So if you could email me the address, then we can contact Bell for you.
Great, thank you.
Councillor?
Thank you.
Councillor Humphreys, new business.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick things. A comment just in terms of Councillor Gilliland's congratulations to the cultural group. It's a great group, great meetings, and I am very encouraged with what I'm seeing already through the town. I think there's a movie night, and it's sold out already. So I believe our town is very anxious for arts and culture to come back strong, and the second it's safe to do so, I believe it's going to be better than ever. I really believe the arts and culture sectors of our town are going to be one of the most thriving, because I believe everyone wants to get back to enjoying such lively events that we really need. Our town is arts and culture, so I'm excited for them for that area in the future. I think it's going to do great. Just a couple of quick questions, Mr. Mayor. Last meeting we had a delegate, Miss Beaton, came and asked about some projects she felt may have been reported twice or double the amount of money. I want to thank Miss Wainwright Vinkessel for clearing that up quickly, that it was just a misunderstanding, and I just want the public to know that that was not an error on the town part. It was just a misunderstanding, and the resident was quick to suggest that that was her misinterpretation. So I want to thank staff for the quick response and getting that cleared up. And just one item I think I'd want to share is just I've been working with Mr. Waters. There's a factory on Edward Street, 95 Edward, that's getting a lot of great work done. It's getting stuccoed. It's got all the windows are covered, and there's ventilation systems putting in. So I'm getting many of the neighbors when I go out on my dog walks asking me what's going on. I had one resident email. So I think Mr. Waters is looking into that. I don't know if we have any details about what's happening there. There's some speculation, and I just wondered if staff knows, because sort of keep it on their radar. They can let us know what's happening there. I don't think Mr. Waters has an update yet, though.
Mr. Waters, do you have an update?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we are reaching out to our bylaw enforcement and our building department, and I do not have an active permit at the moment, but we're still looking into it. We'll get down to what's going on there. Don't worry.
Thank you. Just the neighbors love it. It's a great look. Looks fantastic. Nice and clean. We may have to do a mural competition there. I can tell you, it's a perfect site for creativity. But that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson, did you have your hand up again? New business?
I just wanted you to repeat what you were saying, Shelley Ware. Your microphone is terrible, and I couldn't make anything you said. So would you mind repeating what you said? And maybe
Sure.
the microphone or something?
I will. Is that better? Can you hear me now? Can you? Okay. So what I about Shelley is that Shelley has done a phenomenal job with not only with drive-in movies, but we've had some conversations with herself and with Glenn Maris about expanding and possibly a drive-in concert. It's incredible how Shelley has put this together and is being proactive throughout this pandemic and looking at how we can be innovative for our events. So kudos to her and the rest of the special events team.
Thank you. I heard most of that. Hopefully you'll get your microphone fixed for next week.
I actually have one, and if everyone can hear me, so I know I made reference to doing the right thing during my motions. You know, it's true. The reason is the right thing is because when you still can't hear me.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me? Now you can hear me. Okay. I referenced doing the right thing during my motion. And the reason I referenced that is because when this initiative was brought forward and when I brought it forward, people recognized that how important this initiative is, and they immediately stepped up. And we've secured a donation of $10,000. Now, I didn't want to influence the vote because right is right. And so I'm glad that this initiative is going forward. And I'm glad that our community has stepped up and said how important this is to our town. So thank you, everyone. With that, I'm going to move to bylaws.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't get a chance to add my new business.
I did go through, but okay, I'll allow it this time.
Maybe you broke up, but it's difficult to hear you. Just on that note, another tidbit of information that would have been valuable. I probably would have changed my vote had I known that that was the case. It's nor here nor there, I guess. But I did want to just clarify on what Councillor Gilliland was saying about the cultural group. Is it the understanding that it will continue for 2 more sessions There's no staff tasks, and it will continue as it was with that group. Was that my understanding?
No, I believe that the next one is the last session.
Yeah, I was asking Councillor Gilliland through you if that was her intent.
Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was the intent, to at least move forward as a discussion group informally. Although the last meeting is scheduled for the 22nd, the intent is to move forward September and October informally, just to continue on to capture the cultural days.
Councillor?
It's good to hear.
Thanks for that new business. Councillor Gardner. Mic's off, Councillor.
I don't get annoyed with you very often, Mr. Mayor, but I find it very interesting that I'm trying to do what's right in every sense of the word, but I am trying to do what's right for our taxpayers. Our taxpayers, and you can tell from the delegation this evening.
Is this new business, or are you just looking at events?
This is new business. It's okay. I will be quiet, but I think as we were trying to decide what was right and the financial implication was the most important. It's interesting that you didn't disclose it.
Councillor, you know what, Councillor? You voted the way you did because that's the way you felt. Other councillors voted the way they did because that's the way they felt.
I do want you to pull bylaws.
I'll move to bylaws. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to pull on bylaws? Councillor Gardner. You're on mute, Councillor. I couldn't hear you.
Bylaws C separately, please, Mr. Mayor. And I would like to speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Thompson.
Bylaw B.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo.
Bylaw B.
Thank you. Someone like to move bylaw A? Councillor Thompson, second. Councillor Kim. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for bylaw A on this evening's agenda. Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Mayor Marakis?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
And Councillor Gardner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Bylaw B. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, second. Councillor Kim, comments or questions? Mr. Clerk, call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for bylaw B on this evening's agenda. Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
No.
Councillor Gilliland?
No.
Mayor Marakis?
Yes.
And Councillor Gardner?
No.
Motion carries.
Mr. Clerk, bylaw C. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Kim, second. Councillor Thompson. Councillor Gardner, you want to speak to it?
Thank you. This is concerns OPA 21, Official Plan Amendment 21, the development on the north side of St. John's Side Road, east of Bathurst. I will not be voting for this. In my opinion, the amendment is not consistent with the provincial plan, the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan, with our own official plan amendment 37, and our zoning bylaw.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for bylaw C on this evening's agenda. Mayor Maracus, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner,
No.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
and Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. There's no closed session. Confirming bylaw. Who'd like to move that? Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Humphries. Clerk,
Record vote for the confirming bylaw. Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Kim,
Yes.
Councillor Humphries,
Yes.
Mayor Maracus,
yes.
Councillor Gilliland,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
and Councillor Gallo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I just want to, anyone that's watching, we do have a mandatory mask policy coming into effect on Friday, July 17th. I would ask that all our residents continue to practice physical distancing, wash your hands, and please be safe out there. We're doing a good job. We need to flatten the curve on this. On an excellent job. We've had a small little spike in case numbers in the last couple of days. But I'm confident that we continue to move in the right direction as long as everyone follows the guidelines that are being presented by our region and by our chief medical officer. So stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, council, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Humphries. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.